This is our like catch-up video. This is our last 3 weeks.
We technically started RVing in Colorado on April 15th. Basically April 15th until now.
In Colorado, we were just really like stuck trying to get everything moved out of our house, you know, and into the RV and into the storage unit. And then when we finally kind of got that done, except for we're still trying to move into the RV. It's just not like organization is just a monster. You know, you're just taking all this stuff from your house, and even though there's a bunch going in your storage unit, you're trying to put it into this tiny little thing with 3 kids.
With 3 kids.
And
all of their stuff.
Yeah, and all of their stuff. That's the kicker. It was really hard to get out of Colorado. I feel like there were friends we wanted to see and things we still like had to finish up and like, you know, things to cancel and do. And then we were in Monument right before we left. So driving back up to Denver took time. Chatfield, we went to Chatfield State Park first, right?
Chatfield was amazing.
Chatfield was just kind of an organizational nightmare. It was just, we didn't experience anything. Kids didn't do any playgrounds. We didn't do anything.
We didn't do anything other than trying to fix the RV like organization. We basically moved from our house into the RV, and the entire thing was just full of bins of stuff. Yeah, we got through that. We went to Monument next to Colorado Heights Campground. So the first thing when we got there was like, it was a windstorm. There was like this crazy just windy night, blowing everything just everywhere. It was crazy, dust all over the place. We had a frozen spigot outside. Our water spigot froze because it got down to 23 degrees or something. Yeah, unexpectedly, it was only supposed to get to 29, which would have been fine, but instead it dropped all the way down. Yeah, we thought it was going to be spring. People were like, oh yeah, spring in Colorado spring in the Rockies, really happen normal. You know? Right, so frozen spigot. We didn't have water that morning. We were really worried that like our lines froze, but I checked the hose and like it was slushy. And then it kind of, as it got closer to the RV, felt fine. So I was pretty confident our RV was fine. It's just that campground, you know, faucet froze, and it was better later. Like we went out back to Denver for a bunch of errands and it got better, like it melted or thawed. Yeah, so we spent a lot of time running around places, and it was just kind of hard to like escape like life in Denver. We've been there for so long. Right. And just like finally leaving, like not just going on a vacation, but like truly leaving was difficult to just finally do. Right. So yeah, the first place we went after that was Hays, Kansas. And I mean, we were planning to stop somewhere around Hays. We have a Harvest Host membership, and we had chosen this winery that looked really awesome. And the folks who run that winery contacted us and said, hey, if you choose not to show up, that's just fine, because it's going to be raining buckets and we're on 5 miles of a dirt road that will be a mud road. Right. And we thought, you know, maybe that's not what we want to do. And so we were trying to look around and figure out another alternative, and eventually landed on the Walmart parking lot. Yeah, which actually was not that bad. The first night out of Colorado ended up being at a Walmart, which I don't know if that's what a lot of our viewers do first or later on, maybe once. We found in trying to do all of this, like, and get everything booked, we just didn't have a lot to choose from, like with a lot of it was last minute starting out, and Walmart was the option that night. And actually it was probably one of our best nights ever so far. Like, it was a really nice Walmart. Actually, the parking lot was really nice. There were other RVs there, a couple. That seemed like it was in a really safe area. We called the Walmart first and they said it was fine. So yeah, like I went inside and I got a couple things the next morning, and I don't know, like everything was quiet. I mean, this is Kansas, right? So it was, so yeah, Kansas City was our next stop, and we went to a place called Blue Springs Lake Campground. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Our kids picked up a stomach bug right before we left. It's part of what has made the start of our trip be not quite as amazing and awesome as we originally thought it would be, because our kids have just been constantly sick with the stomach bug the entire time. Next stop was St. Louis. We went to a place called Covered Bridge RV Park. This was this was an experience. Yeah, this was the worst, actually. We got there a little bit late. Not like late, but like it was 7 or something. We got there like, yeah, around 7. It was not like sunset, but it was reasonably late. And we just figured, you know, we're gonna hook up just the electrical and the water and just leave the sewer till the next day. We had been at a full hookup, so we didn't really need to hook up the sewer yet. No. So good thing we didn't hook up the sewer, because the next morning, It was raining buckets.
Yeah, it was raining buckets.
By the way, everywhere we were in Missouri, it was raining buckets.
So the next morning, I go out to take our bikes off. Well, the plan is to go into St. Louis and basically look around. There's like this big thing called the City Museum. We did go to that. It was really cool.
Right.
Kind of like Bishop's Castle in Colorado, but
done better. Sorry, Mr. Bishop.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Bishop. It was incredible. It was this huge building.
It's like a humongous playground for everybody.
Right. I took the bikes off because, we're going downtown in the city, and I just don't want the bikes.
We don't want to be a target.
Yeah. Don't want anybody to take them or look at them and stuff. So I'm taking the bikes down. I just take the bikes down. I put them right on the ground, and it's raining, right? It's raining all over the place. It's like, whatever, I got to do this before we leave. And I go over to kind of like bungee cord tie the bike racks down so they don't kind of like jitter. And all of a sudden, like out of the corner of my eye, I'm just kind of like, like that's weird. Like there was this kind of dark, like mud or whatever, kind of going, like starting to flow kind of underneath me. Well, I'm like, that's weird. I don't remember that being there. And so I'm like, oh, it's raining, right? It's maybe,
it must be mud.
It's just like mud. It's like kind of over, like everything's wet.
Please
it's like
be
a
mud.
little bit of a flood maybe or something. Well, I kind of like walk around the RV to see where this like flowing's coming from. And again, the night before, we didn't hook up to the sewer. And I go around the corner and I just see like this bubbling, right? Like this fountain basically. And I'm just standing there like...
From the sewer hookup where we would have hooked up.
Oh no, that's where the sewer
It's not mud. It's not mud.
And then, I just kind of stood there for a second like, oh no. And I just yelled like, Katie, like call the RV park. And, I'm just like wading around basically in this material that's like...
That is not mud.
No, just like everywhere.
Other people's not mud.
So my shoes, like our bikes are in it, the trucks, in it basically. Unfortunately, we were one of only 2 sites at that RV park that had a sewer, whatever, explode basically or overflow. And
then we ran away.
Yeah, we ran away, but they did spray everything with bleach and kind of cleaned it off. But like we Cloroxed everything down really hard.
Yeah. But it still haunts us. So
it does haunt us. It should haunt you. Next thing was St. Louis pizza, by the way, is nasty. I'm sorry. Ooh. It's just really, really gross. That cheese is wrong. The crust is whatever, but like the cheese, that is nasty cheese. Yeah, so anyway, we stayed with family after, but their sewer was down that night. So that was like really weird.
It was a little bit funny.
Really funny,
all
really
very
strange.
Coincidental.
Strange how their sewer was down too. So that was St. Louis. We went to Paducah, Kentucky
Paducah, Kentucky. So at Paducah, we had to fill up with water, but only that. And then we stayed at just a Walmart parking lot again that night, which was slightly less good than the Hayes Walmart.
Yeah, there were a couple of characters around, but everything was okay.
We were safe.
Did laundry that night. That was, one of those things. So after Paducah, we went straight to Nashville, and we were going to stay at a Walmart, but we tried calling. Nobody was answering the phones.
We tried calling multiple Walmarts, and nobody answered the phones ever for any of the Walmarts. We needed to fill up with water and dump before we were going to be boondocking. And so we kept calling places, kept calling RV resorts at different places, and nobody was answering the phone, like anywhere we called. And so we finally drove to an RV resort that was relatively close, because it's like, all right, let's just go there and we'll just ask them since they won't answer the phone. And we did, and they were like, oh yeah, no, we don't do dumping. And it's like, okay, that you could have answered the phone and said that. But they directed us to a place nearby that they said we could fill up and dump. And so we went to that place. The road on the way to there was so bumpy that our outdoor kitchen had like opened up, like it was locked, but it had just bonked open. We dumped, we filled up. We had a line of people hanging out behind us for a while because we have very large tanks.
Yeah, the tanks took forever to fill up, or the freshwater tank took forever.
Yes.
Made a guy behind me kind of irritated, but yeah, so then we went to a Cracker Barrel and had terrible service. We ate there because it kind of seemed like the right thing to do, but
since we were going to stay overnight there, but
had one of those feelings like just don't want to
maybe we shouldn't stay here.
So anyway, we did get to go to a church and got permission, and that was really decent.
It was awesome.
And then we made it to Knoxville next and stayed at a place called Raccoon Valley. It's an escapees park. I mean, really, it was fine. It's just it was like kind of a parking lot. That's the first time we've ever stayed at like a really truly Rose.
Like just RVs.
Yeah, no trees really. Like it was just gravel.
Trees all along
dirt.
the outside, but because again we're booking at the last minute, which is not suggested, but that's just how our plans went.
Yeah.
Then we got like the last possible site available.
Yeah, so that was, and it was out in the boonies, like as far as where Knoxville is. No raccoons, by the way. That's false advertising.
And that was the first 3 weeks of RVing.
Now we're at this other campsite with this beautiful lake. That's about it, right?
I think that's basically it.
Just had like the worst allergies ever here. I don't know why. We went on a bike ride yesterday, buy some like flowers and stuff, and I don't know. It's spring in Tennessee, and I had bloodshot eyes.
All things considered, we're still feeling pretty positively regardless, and hopefully it's gonna just keep getting better.
So we appreciate you sticking around and watching our videos and liking them and hopefully subscribing, and that'll just help us, stay accountable and keep making videos. And, hope you guys enjoyed